Jesus makes a bit of an odd remark in his dialogue with Pilate. He came to testify to the truth. Those who hear the truth, seek the truth, listen to my words, hear my voice. It begs the question, are we seeking the kind of truth Jesus talks about, that deeper inner spiritual wisdom, or are we on a less spiritual journey? In our second lesson today, the author John draws from the imagery we heard and saw in the first lesson from Daniel to describe Jesus, the Messiah, returning at the final fulfillment of all things, coming down from heaven enthroned on a cloud, the King of kings, the Lord of all, the Master of the world. But it's a reign of peace and security and safety for all the things that make life in this world a struggle, all the things that bring pain, really are finally, in God's grace, wiped away. No more tears. Goes on to use an image that we hear a lot and perhaps don't quite get the full power of. I am the Alpha and the Omega. Alpha is the first letter of the ancient Greek alphabet. Omega is the last letter of the ancient Greek alphabet. I am the A and the Z, the beginning and the end, the fulfillment of everything in between. In our gospel story, we have the scene from the other New Testament writer, also named John, depicting the trial of Jesus before Pilate. And as always, John worms in there some potent theology. And it starts out, as we heard very plainly, so you're the king of the Jews, huh? Now we've got to read that in its historical context. Caesar was the emperor. Israel was a possession of the empire. King of the Jews is a charge of treason and insurrection. It's like Pilate walking in there saying, so you think you're going to rally people into a revolt and push Rome out of here, huh? John turns it into a theological conversation. My kingdom's not of this world. If it were, there really would be a war going on out there. I came to testify to the truth. And as I quoted already, those who seek the truth, hear the truth, want the truth, hear my voice. There's lots of different kinds of truths in our human experience. Truth, as Jesus uses it, has its own special meaning. Truth can be mundane. It can be inspiring. It can be exciting. It can be disturbing. And it can even be frightening. And as I said, there's different kinds or qualities of truth. The scientific endeavors that go on in our world that eventually translate themselves into new wonders in engineering are about seeking, in its most simplistic terms, how the universe works, how the world works. And all of that, how it works, is about discovering some truths that hadn't been known. But they're very different from the truth Jesus is talking about. The truth about what's behind how it works. The truth about who is behind how it works. The truth about that divine spiritual realm that Jesus came to invite us into, that we enter in our baptism and live throughout our days and strengthen ourselves for the discipleship of Jesus within that realm each time we gather to pray, and share word, and share sacrament. Our journey into that deeper wisdom, that deeper relationship, that deeper truth of God's presence in our world and in our lives requires all of our faculties. It's not just about head knowledge. We do have to study the Bible. We do have to learn the understanding of Christians that went before us to help us develop our own understanding of God's activity right now. But it's also about the heart and the body and the soul. It's that deeper wisdom, that deeper strength, that deeper truth. Anthony DeMello tells a wonderful little modern-day parable about seeking truth, seeking wisdom. There was a seeker who had dedicated his life to wisdom, to spiritual insight. And he set out on a quest to find a great spiritual master, to become a disciple, to learn and grow. And his quest brought him to the house of a widely renowned spiritual master. And as he approached the house, the devil saw him coming and decided, I want this one. And threw at him every temptation it could possibly throw. Greed, lust, pride, fear. And the guy shrugged it off and went into the house. And when he was welcomed into the room where the master was teaching, he was taken aback. Saw the master sitting there on an upholstered chair with his disciples sitting around him on the floor, and the seeker thought to himself, wow, he's really lacking in humility, the chief virtue of the saints. He didn't really like the way the guy was dressed or the way the guy talked. And he thought to himself, he hardly paid any attention to me when I came in here. Maybe that's because I don't fawn over him like everybody else. I must have come to the wrong place. And he leaves. As he's going out, the master, who saw the devil sneak in behind him, turned to where the devil was sitting in the corner and said, Tempter, you needn't have worried. He was yours all along. Part of the reality of seeking that divine wisdom in our lives, that deeper insight, that deeper relationship, that deeper truth, is that we have to be prepared to find it where we don't expect it. In a package that doesn't look right. At a place and a time when we're not necessarily prepared to discover it. Yes, it will come to us as we study God's Word and talk about it together and pray together and share sacrament. And yes, it will come to us in other conversations and prayers in our home with friends. Family. But it can also come to us when we're pulling those weeds out of the yard again, and the insight suddenly hits home that God has blessed our world with a tremendous vitality and vigor. We've all heard the expression, Great wisdom comes from the mouths of the little children. We have to be prepared to be surprised and even shocked by God's gifts and God's presence. Today, my dear friends, we celebrate Christ as the King. We celebrate the coming of a divine realm of spirit into our world and into our lives. We entered at baptism. We live in each day of our lives. We refresh and nourish when we worship. Today we celebrate that deeper truth, that divine wisdom, that spark of God is not way out there. It's right here. It's right there. It's right there.